Spiral Radio, everyone. It's a beautiful Friday morning here in Nelson. Spiral Radio is coming to you from the Corrie Centre, Trafalgar Street, Nelson City. So once again, thanks for listening in, and we have a very special guest in today, Swami Karma Karuna Saraswati. Welcome into the studio.
Thank you, Dean. Such an honor to be with you all again, and such an incredible space to be in. Spiral Radio, amazing.
Yeah.
What a incredible thing you've created.
Thank you very much. And I just actually want to go back a couple of years ago. We had an interview at Fresh FM.
That's
Swami.
right.
Yeah. And we had an hour that evening. It was a Friday evening, and we still had so much more to talk about.
That's true. You did promise a second interview, so it's taken a couple of years, but here we are.
and it's quite nice. Swami has been in Nelson for the week recording. So, but I'll let her tell you about that. Look, we've got some listeners on board here, Swami, who don't know anything about you and where you come from. So, look, I'd like to hand that over to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Let us know what you've been up to, where you've come from, and yeah.
Well, originally from the United States, but I've actually amazingly lived in New Zealand now longer than I've lived in the U.S. So I have been here now 26 years, and Anahat is 26 years old. So I'm been associated with, created, and gradually built over the last years on a hot yoga retreat in Golden Bay. And we're an integral yoga meditation center, residential, where you can come to basically do lots of different things. So we get some people coming there to be of service and live longer, and others that might just come for a shorter time for a retreat, or even just for an evening from the town. And teaching a lot of practices that are very important, I think, in this day and age. Yeah. And it's an amazing place dedicated to yoga education as well as ecology and how to live lightly on the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I might have missed it. How long has Anahat Yoga Retreat Centre been going?
So last year we celebrated our 25th anniversary, and we're just coming up actually to 26 years. Yeah. Yeah, which is incredible. Yeah. It kind of tells you how old I'm getting. So wise, how wise I'm getting.
Look, she doesn't look 26 years old.
Thank you. Gold points.
Now, I would like to touch on, 25 years now, coming up 26 years. Can you tell us a little bit about your training, Swami, to create such a beautiful place up there in the Golden Bay?
Yeah, so, before I got to New Zealand, I spent a few years in India, Nepal, Asia, and actually since the age of about 19, I already was interested in exploring the inner world, and my first teacher training was in Nepal in, 95, I think. Yeah. Yeah, and everything just grew from there. And to be honest, I've learned a lot of course, I've done official trainings. Our training was like a 2,000-hour, 3-year training in the early years, and that was just a basic training. And then going to India every year for a few months of the year and being trained on the ground. Yeah. And I was assistant to Swami Mukti Dharma for 16 years. Wow. And in that time, it was really training by fire. Yeah. Well, you're just in it, you know, so living it, not kind of going to a yoga studio once a week, but actually living it to the best of our capacity and really integrating it into daily life. Yeah. So that would kind of explain it a little bit, I guess. Yeah. And I'm always learning. Like, I think beginner's mind is really important. So training isn't complete. Every day there's a new opportunity to grow and to use life experiences to know myself more and be able to be of better service. Yeah. Yeah. So working on that constant training.
Yeah, beautiful. And how long since you've been back to India?
Well, it's been, nearly 3 years now. Yeah. So it's been a bit strange, but it's also been nice to be a little bit more centered on this side of the world and kind of ground, because I had been doing so much traveling.
Yes.
And as much as I loved it, it's quite exhausting.
Yeah.
Moving through time zones and different groups of people. So it's been very good to get a bit of grounding, and I'll head back to India next year, fingers crossed, depending on how the world unfolds.
Yeah.
But aim is to maybe spend a few months back there end of next year.
Yeah. I really like to honour you for all the work that you've been doing, and all that I know since I've met you, Swami, the amount of travel you do, it just blows my mind. You're always doing something for others.
Thank you, Dean.
Yeah.
My name, Karma Karuna, so it's the action of compassion. Karma, action, and Karuna, compassion. So it was the name I've given in a way that forms your path.
Yeah.
And so, and of course, through it, I grow and am inspired and meet amazing people.
Yeah.
So on that light, it's incredible.
Beautiful. So what have you got coming up at Anahat then?
Well, we've got an amazing program coming up, and as for many people, we went into a bit of a hibernation over the last couple of years, and of course, we haven't had the overseas visitors, which seem to just start to be coming back, and we have had a lot of New Zealanders, so please keep coming, New Zealanders. It was wonderful to have you, more of you at Anahat instead of Bali or India or other places. But we are developing an education program where the first part is we've got a detox coming up next weekend, so spring cleanse, get ourselves ready to go into deeper practices and just, let go of the sloth of the winter and all the rain. We've had heaps of that, haven't we? So cleaning out the mind and body next week, and love to have you. And there is actually a 20% discount for any locals. So, get in touch. And then we've got an amazing program, which was really about yogic lifestyle. And there's a 1 week or 3 week option where it's about how do you live these practices. So not just get on your mat once a day, which is important, but actually bring it into the attitude we show up with, practice qualities like gratitude and being balanced in our day-to-day life, and what techniques and attitudes can support us in that. And so that program's in late November, early December. We also have a yin yoga teachers training being run by Nick, which people might be interested in. And then, so much going on. And then as we come into the new year, we've got a New Year's retreat. So if you are interested in being in kind of a nurturing nature environment, alcohol and drug-free over New Year's, then that's the place to come and share with us. And we'll be doing lots of practices for just relaxing, and also some chanting to inspire us into the new year and setting intentions. So that's coming up.
That sounds like you've got a lot going on.
So much going on.
And now I've got to get my pen out here and just I want to touch on a couple of. I would like to touch on the chanting. The chanting and how that can help us in our lives. And I'm saying this, folks, because I'm actually busy out in the next couple of months, but coming into Christmas and New Year's, I feel that when Swami mentioned alcohol and drug-free and the chanting, I'm really intrigued.
The chanting is very powerful. So just at a very basic physiological level, when we're doing, for example, chanting the mantra Om, we are using the vocal cords and the humming, which has an influence on the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is all about how to calm down our nervous system. And for most of us, we are overactivated. We've got so much input coming in from the external world, a lot of inner pressures as well, which have been, I think, built up even more in these last couple of years by many of the experiences we've all had. And so, we're living in times where there is a lot of stress stress both internally and externally. And something like chanting, it at that physiological level calms the nervous system. So that's one aspect. And then even if you just think about taking a nice big deep breath in and chanting something, whatever it is, Om Namah Shivaya, Om, other mantras, then you're breathing deeply. And when you breathe into your belly and you activate your diaphragm, again, the vagus nerve or this whole calming of your nervous system occurs. So very helpful at that level. But also it's a way to lift ourselves up out of what I would call the instinctual experience of life. So when we're in that instinctual experience, the whole system is set up to keep us in survival. And so when we've had fear poured out on us from society or experiences that in some way have, challenged us, we can get stuck in a response of protection and nervous system overactivation, which is supposed to keep us safe. But often it's an overactivation. And so with the chanting, we kind of can lift ourselves out of the unconscious drives and the fear drives and really tune more into the heart area and start to express our emotions from that more higher space, you could say, or from the heart with connection, with love. And for people who believe in a higher force, God, Goddess, Spirit, they can direct that energy towards that form that they feel inspired by. Also, often chanting's done in a group environment, so there's a harmony that begins to take place.
Beautiful.
And one of my teachers talked about it like a whole bunch of clocks ticking in the room, and when we begin to chant, we all come in ticking at different rates, but by the end of the practice, you are actually ticking at like the grandfather clock, you're all ticking together. So you get a harmony occurring, you get a resonance, kind of mutual support where we all uplift each other just by our presence and by contributing to this group practice. So many benefits. I could go on and on and on, but that's a little seed of it. Yeah.
Beautiful. I have experienced this, folks, and so what Swami's just explained there is really beautiful and a beautiful experience. Now, Swami doesn't know this, but, well, she does know that she gifted Spiral some MP3s a while ago. Did you know that I've been running an Inner Heart chanting show every morning?
Oh, amazing.
from 4 a.m. till 5 after the meditation hour on Spiral. So,
beautiful.
Folks, if you're listening in and you want to have an experience, we run that in the early hours of the morning.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
I'll have to get up earlier.
but there's more to come there as we build the station as well. And I would say we have been gifted a number of MP3s from Swami. So as we build the station, we'll be including some more.
Amazing. And I've just recorded a whole bunch more. So I've spent the whole week here in Nelson recording new meditation. I've got 5 new meditation practices about to come out and also a bunch of breathing practices. So I'll be really excited to share that with you as soon as they're finalized.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeeves, while we're on this, can we touch on on the breathing exercises? Because, I've had that little funny breath thing going on for a while.
Yeah.
And I've had all the medical
inputs or knowledge.
Input, and I went back this week for the final, and everything's fine, but I've got this little weird breathing thing going on. So,
yeah, well, it is very individual. So I'd need to know more about your specific case, but in general, what you can there's basic breathing practices which really are where we start, because it's about learning to be more present with our breath, because the reality is we're breathing all day, every day, from the moment we're born until the moment we pass.
Yes.
And yet we're much of the time we're not even aware of it. Until now, were you thinking about the breath? So it's like our mind is distracted in other sensory inputs or whatever is going on internally, but actually not aware of the breath. So we start with developing breath awareness, because the breath is like a bridge between the body and mind. And if we can start to notice it when we get stressed, we'll notice that it becomes shorter and shallow. when we're relaxed and in a state of balance, then it becomes long and deep. And so even that in itself is quite a powerful realization, to know that the breath changes with our mind and emotions, and we have the capacity to control it, where a lot of things we can't control, like we can't control all the, how the hormones are going to release directly. Of course we do, through the breath or through other aspects, but with the breath, it's a bridge between the body and the mind, and it's a bridge between conscious and unconscious. So it's something that's occurring all the time without our awareness, but we also have the ability to lengthen it, to make it faster, to hold the breath. And each of these different types of actions has a specific effect on the physiology, on the mind, on the emotions. And so we work with the basic practices, first becoming aware, then learning how to lengthen the breath, which will create that calm. And over time, we can then start to work with tranquilizing practices, balancing practices, activating and heating practices. And each of them, as I said, have particular purpose and ways of doing them. And they do influence aspects of your breath, as well as the heart rate, the hormones. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Here I am breathing long and deeply as Swami's talking away. I hope you haven't been hearing me snivelling over the airways. I thank you for that explanation. Now, we're just going to drop into a quick song here for a moment, folks. If you've just jumped in, we're talking Swami Karma Karuna Saraswati from Unheart Yoga Retreat and other places. So we're going to go into a track now. This is from Common Saints. This is Summer Sun. So thank you for being in here today, Swami.
Oh, such a pleasure.
Welcome back into Spiral Radio, everyone. And we are coming to you live from the Crow Centre, Nelson City, Trafalgar Street. And today, as promised, we've got Swami Karma Karuna in. Welcome back, Swami.
Thank you, Dean. Wonderful to be here with you.
Yeah, and yeah, it's beautiful to have you here. And you know, we've just been the first part of the interview. We have been a little bit of a history on Swami and her yogic journey, and we've touched on Anahat Retreat Centre, some breath work. And you know, the last couple of years have been a bit of a hard time for many people out there in the community. And for me, myself, I've experienced this, and I'm always looking for ways to go forward with ease and grace. You know?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts around this, Swami?
Lots of thoughts, actually. It has been a very difficult time in different ways for different people. And I feel like some of these yogic practices, breathing practices, the calming practices are very important because, as I was saying earlier in the interview, anything that we're carrying with us that might be causing stress internally, or the continued inputs from the outside, whether it's changes in financial circumstances or our job, or the laws, all of these things continue to create challenges for many of us. And so one thing that's really important is just finding techniques, finding ways to come back into calm, to come back into nervous system balance, because when we're in a balanced state, we're able to show up differently. We're able to perceive what's going on externally with a different set of glasses, and so we can make better decisions. When we're fearful, when we're feeling so stressed out internally or from the external inputs, actually we don't make good decisions because we're again in that survival mode where we don't see the whole picture. And when we're in a calm state, when we're in a balanced nervous system state, we're able to actually pause, take stock of what's happening, and make better decisions. So I think calming practices, restorative type of yoga, breathing practices, mindfulness, really, really important to give us that perspective. So that's one side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much in there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got my pen in front of me. I was going to write it all down, but I didn't take my eyes off Swami. The breathing and the calming practices. I've found that with what Swami's talking about there's a lot coming up for me right at the moment, and a lot of it is what comes to me is stress.
Yeah.
That I've been feeling, and making the right decisions. While under that, when we get in those stressful situations, what are some tools that we can use to come back to calmness?
Yeah, we have to see what works for us. But again, coming back to the breath, if we just take even 5 breaths where we activate the abdomen, we activate the diaphragm, the muscle between the lungs and the abdominal cavity, by taking that nice, big, long, deep breath, we're actually telling the nervous system that it's all okay. When we're breathing fast, the reason why we would breathe fast is because we're trying to run from the lion.
Yes.
And when our system thinks that everything around us, the people around us, the bank, the children, the job, that they're all lions, and we're constantly in that fight, flight, or freeze state, then we're in survival and we're not making those really bigger picture decisions in a way that considers the whole, the whole perspective. We're just surviving. And, for example, your digestive system and your organs, they all shift because you don't need to process food if you're running from a lion. So it means that our digestion is influenced. So things just like taking 5 deep conscious breaths can very quickly shift us into a different state. We talked about chanting. Yeah. For me, chanting some mantras helps because, again, it triggers the vagus nerve, brings me back to center.
Yeah.
Mindfulness, so simply being aware, noticing when the mind's getting busy or when there's changes in the body, the breath, that can give us an indication like, I'm not in my center. And really pausing and doing something different before making our decisions or before interacting with somebody that's triggered us for some reason, or maybe there was a lot of division that occurred in society over these last couple of years, which has actually been hard to come back from for a lot of people. And so, coming into our center before we interact with those people we might have felt divided with, and knowing that if we're carrying around things, it's actually injuring our own self.
Yes.
More than the person, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, gratitude. I find gratitude's really helpful.
Yes, that's a big one, practicing gratitude. And it is something I do every day, every morning.
Yeah.
And it's just become a part of me now. It's a beautiful way to start my day.
It's incredible. And it actually changes your hormonal outputs.
Yeah.
So you get, for example, when you are feeling grateful, you get out of that fight, flight, freeze. When you're feeling grateful, you actually change your hormones so that you have more oxytocin, so you feel more connected. And I think connection is really important right now. The whole global situation is huge.
Yes.
It's very, if you just look at that, it can feel like, how on earth are we going to get out of this?
Yeah.
So I think coming back to our local areas, so I think that's what you're doing here with this local station, and bringing these techniques and these inspirations to people is really important, with Spiral Radio and a Spiral Store as well. And really supporting ourselves in our smaller communities. So we've gone big, we've gone global, and actually at the end of the day, coming back to those people, our neighbors, those people that we're, living next door to. How can we support each other? How can we grow more food? So if things do continue to be challenged, then we can support each other within our smaller communities. So I think community connecting is really, really important as well.
Yeah. What I'm feeling is that I've been open up to all these different ways of being in community, and my connections with community is different now. And we're creating new communities, which I'm really loving, our connections. And they are with our neighbours, like you say. It is small.
Yes.
And, those branches are growing again, and I'm loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah. So, Swami, you've got a few things before we get off, I've got a few things I want to touch on again. We'd like some contacts from you for Anahat. How can people get in contact with you? And let's just touch on the events that you've got coming up at Anahat Retreat Centre again. Yeah.
So be in touch either on our Facebook page. You can see what's going on. So Anahata Yoga Retreat, I think that's the handle. And the website, Anahata, ANAHATA-retreat.org.nz. So that's probably the best way to find out things. Get on our newsletter. And some of the things we've got coming up, the detox retreat's coming next weekend. So if you feel like you've got a little bit of spare time, it's actually priced really beautifully, and particularly locals, 20% discount.
Yeah.
And in fact, if anybody is coming from elsewhere and needs that discount, just ask and say you heard it here on Spiral. And then we've got some other retreats coming up. So lifestyle retreat, our New Year's for those that want to be in a different environment where it's nurturing and supportive and conscious over New Year's. And after that, we've got our Yoga Nidra teacher training coming up, which really amazing practices. And we've been speaking a lot about the things that are needed in this day and age. And I feel like Yoga Nidra and the basic breathing methods and restorative yoga are so key. And that training's coming up in early January for, it's a 16-day residential and then a 2-month online. So it's a very in-depth, beautiful training. And I haven't shared that with you, Dean. We've just got approved by Yoga New Zealand as an official course. So
beautiful.
now, if you've got a 200-hour training from anywhere, you can take our Yoga Nidra training and add 150 hours. So this is for the yoga teachers. You'll understand this.
Yeah.
And I am in the midst of building a meditation teacher training and pranayama, which is the more classical breathing practices. And that will be launched in April for the very first time. And that's another 150 hours. So you can become a 500-hour teacher by doing these courses with us at Anahat. And it's very exciting news. It took about 2 years to kind of get it off the ground.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, I love this, Swami. You're such a hard worker.
I've got lots of help, lots of head, heart, and hands that are supporting an amazing trust board at the moment. We're a charitable trust. Actually, that's something I didn't share with you.
Come on.
So I will. We are doing a fundraising at the moment for Anahat Yoga Retreat. So like many people, it's been a challenging couple of years, and we're really in need of some new fireplaces and getting our wet back going again so that we can have hot water without kind of lots of the gas using the LPG. We're getting a hot water booster through solar and a new caliphant so we can have consistent hot water when those other items aren't working as well. And so we're, and some of it's health and safety things, so they really need to be done. And we've had a $10,000 grant from the pub charities, which is amazing.
Beautiful.
So it's really inspiring. And we need 20,000 more. So if anybody's listening and has some abundance, we would be so grateful. And you can go right to our website at anahata-retreat.org.nz and make a donation on the Give page. And that would be amazing. We'd love that support. And it's also connected with Diwali, which is the in India, we celebrate this time where it's about the inner light and the goddess Lakshmi, which is the goddess of abundance or the energy of abundance. And in our system, the key motto is serve, love, give. And through serve, love, give, you actually create abundance. So it's not about asking Lakshmi for something, but it's about that sense of giving. And by getting a little bit more support for this project that we're doing at the moment, we'll be able to keep on giving out more to all of you. So love your support. Thank you.
It's beautiful. And just for you folks who don't know, I've had a strong connection with Swami for a few years now.
Yeah.
And it's been lovely, the support that you have given me. And I love our spiral Anahat connection that we've got going and building on.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a seed for future, but we're going to be at the Evolve Festival in a combined stall. So looking really forward to that, to share it, to merge with the spiral.
So look for us. It will be Spiral Store and Anahat Yoga Retreat Centre, a combined stall at Evolve, coming up end of
January.
Yeah, but we'll share more of that closer to the date. Oh, it's been lovely having you in here this morning, Swami.
Amazing. So beautiful to reconnect with you. I always feel inspired.
Same. Beautiful. Big smiles in the studios here. Lots of love going
Absolutely.
on. Okay, my darling. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you for coming in again.
Thank you so much, and namaste to everyone out there. Do a bit of breathing and gratitude.
Yes, something I must do, the breathing. Yeah. Okay, folks, we're going to go into another track here. That was Swami Karma Karuna Saraswati, all the way from Anahat Yoga Retreat. Very blessed to have her in here. Thanks again, Swami.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, folks, for listening in. This is Leisure